So you thought I was never coming back, didn't ya? Well, I'm back. And I don't know my consistent schedule yet, but I am back to tell you that there are a few things that I needed to do to take care of myself so I didn't burn out, because I was starting to. And definitely have pushed myself way harder. Part of that is because, yes, I do feel I have something to prove still, and I'm working on that. 2, I really definitely didn't realize how much work it actually was to put out an e-course. And it's like one thing to build the content, but it's another thing to build the marketing. So that has been absolutely insane. And I'm so proud of myself because it's done. It's basically just now continuing to promote and have these conversations with people. But oh my word, holy moly, I'm exhausted from all of it. And the truth is, I thought that it was gonna take me like maybe 3 months to put together. I actually thought it was gonna take me like 2 months, admittedly, I'm really embarrassed. But to do the extent that I wished to do, which was to make sure everything was built out on the back end and there was all the support emails and everything that happened as soon as you registered for this, then you got this, and then you got this, and then you got that, and then you got this, and then you got the webinar. I had so much to do. And I thought that would take me like, 2 or 3 months. And it did take me 2 or 3 months. But realistically, when I looked at somebody else's timeline calendar, that was about a 6-month project. So your boy finished it in basically that part in 2 months. So I definitely just a rookie mistake. And now I'm here trying to recover, definitely feeling like I need to take some time for me too, which is why I stopped recording a video every day on YouTube, because I was like, I just don't want to be burnt out. And I am learning to not self-abandon in many different ways. So now I'm better at speaking up for myself. Now I'm better at showing up authentically. And if I make a commitment, it's still hard for me to say, actually, I can't. Actually, I'm not going to. Actually, I'm going to do this instead. So that's my new level. That's my new iteration. And also just learning that there's nothing to prove. It's okay. And it's okay to disappoint people. And maybe you guys don't even care. But I just want to be super vulnerable about where I've been and what that looks like for me now and how I am committed to walking my talk. So yeah, the next time I run this course, which I don't know when it's going to be, but it's definitely going to be it's going to look very different. I feel like I expect to just pace it out more, take more time. I won't have so much to build on the back end, so that's also nice. But it's taught me you need way more time. You need way more time. And I know I'm putting my own deadline on the floor, but once I already announced stuff, again, I could have probably pulled out and said, oh, actually I have to make it later, right? Like that's the whole point. But there is still a part of me that fears being unreliable, not being trustworthy, all of these things that are really important to me. So there's a fine line. Like if we say we're gonna do something, we do it, but I also think we can't put our health on the line, and I did put my health on the line, so yeah, we're not gonna do that again. Lesson learned. But we also learn. So there's compassion in knowing, okay, I made a mistake. And everything else, though, is running smoothly. I'm super stoked about it. And I did want to come on here and talk about how it's really important to know the different kinds of self-abandoning that you can be doing, because that is actually the main point. And I'm pulling up my notes right now because this is really powerful. What kind of self-abandoner are you? And here's the 5 different options that I've come up with, because I've found that there's different people with different things going on. So here's the first type that I think there is. There's the people pleaser. And the people pleaser is someone who is going to say yes when they mean no. It's someone who's probably really out of touch with their needs. They're just used to being easy breezy. They might even think that's the way they're supposed to be. They were taught that that was how they got rewarded. They probably had family that made them feel like if you're not being easy, you're gonna get left behind. And so it's a lot of smile and wave. It's a lot of sure, yeah, that sounds good. It's like the really nice person in the room, but there might not be a lot of depth there. And they're just learning to find themselves again. So no matter, I mean, there's varying degrees. You could be so far away from that, and then you could start to be like noticing that you have a hard time saying no and you're starting to get back in touch with your needs. So where you are in the people pleasing is a spectrum too, but that is one type of self-abandoning. Number 2, the achiever. The achiever, is somebody who has something to prove. This is kind of where I'm finding I still have some self-abandonment to release here. I have some work around leaving myself behind, and it's in the achieving category, because achieving is you're gonna get rewarded. You've been rewarded for doing things well in your life, and maybe you had a parent who felt like they weren't enough, and so they put a lot of pressure on you, and then you got rewarded for being enough and getting the actual awards for being a star student, for joining the extra clubs, for going to a good college, whatever you ended up doing. You were just like always above and beyond, and now you carry that with you and you overwork yourself, you get super drained, you're always trying to strive for more, and in so many ways it's beautiful. You probably get a lot of credit for this, but it's also draining you, and you're putting your health on the line, and you will overwork yourself to degrees where possibly, I know of people who've passed out from exhaustion, from just working so hard, from so much stress. I know people who do develop chronic illnesses. There's so many things that can happen because your body is just not meant to be going that hard all the time, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, all the different ways that you may be overachieving, which is, So usually you're trying to prove something, you're trying to get that outside approval, and it's so important you know that you can get that within, and that's really the only sustainable place to get it. So number 3 is the chameleon. The chameleon is the person who really loses themselves in people. This is also somebody who you could call the codependent. And it's not just people pleasing, it's losing yourself in other people. So people pleasers definitely do this and they can bleed into each other, but the chameleon is someone who, whoever they're around, they think that that is probably how they're going to get the most love and sense of belonging. Maybe it's a partner, oftentimes it's a partner, and you will find yourself being like, oh my gosh, this doesn't really fit with me, but I want this connection so bad that I'm gonna find a way to make it for me. I don't love raving, but I'm gonna rave. I don't love living in this part of the world, but I'll do it because that's what my partner wants. I don't really like the way this company does its thing, but I'm gonna just do everything they're doing because that's how I'm gonna be approved, right? So it's not just like saying yes when you want to say no, it is that, but it's also morphing your identity into somebody or something else completely and losing yourself. So that's an insatiable void, and it's really tricky because you will probably gain a lot of love from doing that in the short term, but in the long term, you're going to fall apart, and the other people are also going to fall apart because it creates this like siphoning relationship where you're pulling all of your joy and everything from that person and all of your identity from that person. It's not sustainable, and it will collapse the relationship in the end. Oh, so sorry. Now there's the caretaker. The caretaker is someone who finds value and validation in taking care of everybody. They're the person in the room that it's like, oh, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? How can I help you? How can I help you? How can I be there for you? They take the calls late at night. They're always there for everybody. Maybe they're an actual caretaker for an elderly person or someone who's ill or somebody who's dealing with something. They are the caretaker. Maybe it's even a parenting role, but you've just come into so much caretaking and you literally just caretake. Like, caretaking is great. But it's reciprocal, and we find time for ourselves too. If the other person you're caretaking for can't help you in any way because they're in a critical condition, of course, like we understand, but then you really need to find the balance or sub out your caretaking role for somebody else. People who go into nursing, people who go into childcare, people who go into elderly care, all of these kinds of people, they're just natural born caretakers. They probably were doing that since a young age, maybe for a family member, or they just found that role. They found belonging in that role. And it's okay to have that natural, maternal, paternal, whatever energy, but not at your own demise. And that's the whole point. Not at your own demise. If you are throwing all of your needs out the window, if you are running yourself ragged, if you are snapping at the person you're caretaking for, if you are literally not even able to be kind to the person you're taking care of, you have run yourself ragged. You have run your course, and you need to find a new way to fill your cup so you can overflow. I'm not saying abandon the people who need care, but I'm saying you need to make sure that you are taken care of too, or nobody's getting taken care of. Harsh, true. Now, the last one is the avoider. So the avoider, to be honest, I think in the achiever and the caretaker, the avoider could be any of these because you're running from your own self in a lot of ways. So you'll find anyone or anything else to busy yourself with. But the avoider just flat out will avoid. So here's the other thing. This is, maybe they're not taking care of anyone. Maybe they're not people pleasing. Maybe it's less about their socialization. Maybe they're just isolating themselves. Maybe they're just spending their days doom scrolling. Maybe they're just watching TV or playing video games, or just completely avoiding their real life through anything else but reality. They maybe have addiction problems. Maybe they're trying to cope through things that are unhealthy and detaching them from themselves, be it drugs or alcohol, be it even sugar or caffeine, be it just completely detached from their body and themselves, their health, their well-being, their community. They're abandoning themselves by living in some alternate world, and they're just avoiding. And so that is another possibility for you. And if that's you, all of these things, I just want you to know, are manageable. And all of these archetypes are pieces of me, pieces of my clients. We've all been there. Self-abandonment comes in many forms. And I wanted to bring this to the attention of the people so that we can make sure that we come back to ourselves. And we know that it doesn't have to be this way. And when we come back home to ourselves, when we stop self-abandoning and we start aligning with our soul again, which to me is just the most alive part of us, the truest part of us, which I make very practical and all of the things that I teach about. When we come back to that, we can heal and quantum leap so many of the issues that we're running into with each of these archetypes. You don't have to go like step by step in each little bullet point of the personality and the issues or the downfalls or the shadow sides. You literally just have to start choosing yourself. And listening to yourself tells you how to choose yourself. And I teach all of that in my upcoming webinar, which is called 5 Steps to Stop Self-Abandoning and Finally Come Home to You, or come back to soul alignment. And I want you to know that it's completely free, and I have 3 classes happening next week. And if you haven't signed up already, I'd highly recommend you sign up or send this to somebody who may need this, who falls into one of those categories, who really, really could benefit from finally coming home to themselves. Because when we do that, we do overflow for everyone. The world deserves your energy. You were made to be you. So all of that is leading into my course, Brave Enough to Be You, which is so exciting, which comes out next week as well. So just if you want to get your feet wet, if you want to learn a little bit more about this and understand the 5 simple steps, and then the number 1 thing that people get wrong about self-care that I got wrong for years, definitely check out those free webinars. The link is below. And again, share this with somebody who may need it. Thank you so much for being here. Subscribe if this is your brand of what you need, because I'm here for you. I see you. I feel you. I have been you. I am you. I love you completely, and I hope you have the most beautiful day.